So we wanted to be available to answer questions that you may have, given the developments of the day. I can let you know that we don't have any news to break. The news is that you've already heard about the resignation or retirement of the command staff at RPD. We don't know more than that. The Public Information Office at the Police Department has released names in which of the leaders would be going back to lower level positions and which ones were actually retiring. So you have that information available. We want to confirm that we are assured that we still have a police department that will have leadership and that the city will be safe and the residents of the city will be safe and protected. So if you've got questions that I can fill in the blanks around those limited facts that we have.
The mayor had said that she would not fire the chief, and the chief had said the rumors of his resignation were just that. And yet, I don't think anybody thought of retirement, right? Even though we all could have done the math at 20 years. And how much of a surprise is this to you that he's leaving at this point?
Total. I mean, I had no idea that he was contemplating retirement or resignation.
When did you guys find out?
During a briefing that we had scheduled for today at 3:30, 3 o'clock. And it was a delay getting started because the mayor, I guess, was hearing at that moment that she was hearing from Chief Singletary.
What message does it send, do you think, to the community that with all the controversy that the chief chooses now to retire?
Well, one of the messages is that continues to be a lot going on, and that's one of the items that has been raised, has been lifted by the community, at least by a number of the protesters. So I'm not sure how they would interpret it other than the fact that it is part of the uproar that's going on in our community right now.
Do you think it's a victory for the protesters?
I won't speak for them, but I would imagine that might be that kind of consideration.
As president of the city council, how does it feel when you hear something like this, that, your police chief and a couple other, high-ranking police officers are retiring, especially right now that they're not?
Well, it's disturbing because it was unexpected, but personnel changes happen, but I think the timing of it is what makes it a bit disturbing.
Loretta, what message can you deliver to the community when you see this sort of shakeup at such a tenuous time in the department? What kind of reassurances can you offer from a city council perspective to your constituents?
Well, I do believe that our city will continue to be safe. There will be leadership, and that we as council will work with administration to move as quickly as possible in ensuring that the steps necessary to be taken to fill the void that exists on the chief level. Because we don't confirm the low-level positions, but we do confirm the chief, that we would work with the mayor and administration in making sure that happens in a timely manner.
Whose decision is the chief? Is it ultimately the mayor and you confirm? How does that, what's the process?
Exactly
What's the process?
What has the reaction been from your constituents to today's development?
I've not actually had an opportunity to engage that on any level. We're in minutes now in terms of this evolving.
Would you rather wait for him to see the investigation through?
Would I what, please?
Would you have rather for him to stay until the investigation was concluded?
Well, I understand that perhaps he's doing what he feels like he needs to do, and we'll continue to do what we feel like we need to do.
Willie, you wrote a pretty poignant letter to the community. Was it 2 days ago? In your capacity as the as vice president and also as the chair of the public safety committee, what sort of message would you like to deliver to the public with something like this happening?
I think it's time for, as a public safety chairman, my number one priority is for public safety and human life safety. And so I think it's time for our community to move to a place of healing. We have to get to a place where we begin to heal from such traumatic events that we've had compacted on top of each other And there's mourning going on in this community. We've had also a couple of homicides since the proof of death. And so there are a lot of families hurting right now. And I think that we have to begin to move to spaces and create spaces of healing.
We're heading into the 7th night of protest. Is there any concern with a change of leadership like this happening that things may escalate again as we've seen in previous nights in Rochester?
Well, I'm concerned on a daily basis, but I also am confident that every effort will be made to minimize any violence that occurs. The protests have been peaceful, and the leaders of the protest have done a yeoman's job to try and ensure that. So I'm looking that they will continue to do that.
From his statement, it looks like Chief Singletary didn't feel supported, whether it was by the administration, whether it was by council. How do you respond to that? Did you support Chief Singletary? I know he's born and raised in Rochester, sort of grew up in the Rochester Police Department. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I work very closely with the entire command staff as chair of public safety. They've done an outstanding job in the past, and I supported him throughout everything that we've had to do and the work that we've done, especially Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition and the Think About It campaign, and all the work that we've done around homicides, decreasing our homicides as far as 80% arrest rate on homicides, and also looking at repositioning our investigators. A lot of great work that we've done together. So he's been very supportive. We've supported each other, and they've had a great career, and I wish them nothing but the best.
The investigation that council is doing that is supposed to be independent of the mayor and the AG, I assume all that goes on full-fledged just as it would
Yes.
regardless.
Yes.
How long do you anticipate that taking, and has that begun?
We haven't actively started, but we're developing the scope and don't have the timeline for it yet. But I don't expect that to be over an extended period, not months and months and months.
Does he, by resigning, kind of recuse himself from that investigation in any way?
I can't answer that. I'm not sure in terms of subpoena power, which we're exercising, how far that goes.
Obviously, Chief Singletary is the big one on the retirement, but Commander Rivera was very active in neighborhoods, especially in the Southwest, in trying to help resolve some issues there. So talk about what it means, lower level, that he's not going to be there, and then somebody else who may know the neighborhoods but really has to get up to speed with the residents. How big is a loss for somebody of Commander Rivera to the neighbors that he worked with?
I would say, again, you're right, absolutely right. He's been doing a lot of work on the grounds, command staff-wise. We've been doing some stuff over on Charlie Avenue, big time. And he's been a great asset to the community and to the department. So yes, this is a huge blow. But someone who spent 20 years in the Rochester Fire Department and had to make a decision to retire. That's a personal decision. So these individuals have made a personal decision to retire, and I support their decision.
Usually when that many people retire, it's a way of saying, I object, you're forcing someone out, they're doing a good job. What do you think about them all retiring?
I can't answer that other than the fact that it's a personal decision. I support their decision. The optics of it, what it looks like, the community has to make that determination. But they've all worked very well for this community. And, I just support them in their retirement and their decision.
As you guys look towards the future and the future police chief, what are you guys hoping for in that future police chief that will help mend the relationship between police officers and the community right now?
Well, we've had some very robust recruitment practices in terms of identifying police. We've had a number of chiefs, so doing this won't be new to us. But I can't tell you that we're going to be looking for something different than we normally look for in a police chief. That there are a number of characteristics that we want to see evident in the person that is selected or that comes before us for confirmation, and we'll be determining that.
But have you had to select a chief when Rochester has made national and international news for what's happened? Do you think that affects how you go through the search and who puts themselves forward to be the chief here?
We've never had, in my extensive history with this city, this kind of environment, I put it like that. But having said that, I believe that there are applicants who would welcome the challenge of coming to help us in going forward from where we are.
Are either of you worried that right now that, you know, we see people coming online and we're hearing from the past protesters, hundreds and thousands are turning up every night. Are you worried that there's a lack of leadership and direction in the city right now entering a 7-night protest, and now we have a police chief who's on his way out at the end of the month?
I believe that Chief Singletary will continue to do the very best job he can in terms of trying to keep the activities orderly and keep everybody safe.
All right, we'll take one more, and then we have to.
So is he a lame duck?
I'm not gonna describe it as being a lame duck. He has a limited time left in his service to us.
Ms. Scott, you mentioned that we've hired police chiefs before.
Mhm.
I think that might be, from the protesters, from listening to them, I think that might be the problem, is that the system that keeps choosing the chiefs, they want to see some change there. So do you anticipate changing that process to try and recruit people with perhaps a different background, or springing some, maybe whether it's mental health, whether it's racial research and things like that to the table? Because it seems like they say, we keep hiring these chiefs, but the system doesn't change. So do you think there needs to be a change to the system of hiring?
The question on changes to the system will be answered. We're going to work on those. We're going to develop those. And as we go forward in searching out a chief, we'll look for someone who can bring that to the table. But I've not heard, well, you keep hiring a chief and you keep messing up. It's that the systems need to change, and we won't lose focus of that.
If the
Thank you,
systems
everybody.
need to change, then how come he
We're all set.
had to quit?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments from City Council President Loretta Scott, Vice President Lightfoot, who's Chair of the Public Safety Committee. City is protected. Chief Secretary believes he retires at the end of the month. He is not a lame duck. He will continue to do his job. Question about the search. Will the search be different than it has